Drinker James, episode 27. You might notice that I'm in a sweater. That's true. Well, it's Friday. A few reasons. One, it's Friday. Two, Tim's gonna try and lie to you, but the fact is, I filmed last week's episode yesterday because Tim is going on a vacation. So I just, it was a big night last night. One of our employees, Emma, got engaged, which was amazing. And we were in this room with her full of love and happiness and whiskey and those things all mixed together. And I woke up this morning and I didn't want to put a suit on. And I think that sometimes, just gotta be real with you guys that, you just gotta be authentic. And I was hungover and I didn't feel like putting on a suit, so I didn't. So I'm in a sweater. And
you're hungover, but you're still drinking?
I'm hungover, but I'm still drinking, which should prove my dedication to this show. Also, Tim is a hard ass and, makes me do these things sometimes when I'm hungover. But I had a boss once, wonderful lady named Colleen Kelly, and she said something to the effect of, I think it was if you want to fly with the eagles, you have to wake with the owls or something like that. You have to fly with the eagles, you got to wake with the rooster. Anyway, the point was, Tim maybe will find what that phrase actually is, but it's like if you want to go out and get hammered at night, you better wake up and be able to get your stuff done in the morning. So I'm here, getting my stuff done. Let's do it. First of all, I'm constantly trying to follow new people. A lot of our job on the campaign side of things is, constantly kind of knowing who's up and coming, knowing who's really interesting, doing interesting things. So I try and switch my feed up fairly often and unfollow people who I haven't been engaging with and follow new influencers, especially from the 4Card communities. But people that I enjoy. So someone's on the smaller side, there's this guy named Ryan Wilson who I have ridden bikes with a few times. And I'm just looking at this account here. So he had this kind of generically nice Instagram account. Tim will put up the link here and maybe scroll the feed or something. But he had this generically nice account when he lived in California, and he moved to Peru for a year. And he's riding his bike around these insane mountain ranges in Peru. And he is, there's a lot of adventure photographers, and a lot of them that I follow because I really enjoy that. But they're just hopping around to different beautiful spaces to take photos. None of them spend more than a week in the places that they're documenting, but he's immersing himself in this very rural village mountain life in Peru and riding his bike around. And so it's really interesting for me because I'm not only getting these really beautiful photos from Peru that I've never even knew existed and I want to go there so badly now, but he's also highlighting pieces of life that you could only really get if you weren't a tourist, if you were actually living it. So I think that's really interesting. His commitment to immersing himself and telling these authentic, interesting stories are really great. And even if you're not a cyclist, I suggest following him because he's also a maniac. He goes out camping for 3 weeks by himself on his bike. He's a crazy person, but I love it. Another one is EJ Sampson. So a little bit bigger following. He's a menswear guy. He works at L'Oreal. He's awesome, good friend of mine. But as you know, I wear suits quite often, right? But I actually have trouble matching sometimes. So I love EJ because one, I've actually bought a few pieces of clothing directly from his Instagram, basically, which is something that I haven't really done with any other accounts. For me, he kind of drives me to purchase a little bit. But he does this one post that kind of I don't know how he takes it or someone else does, but it's kind of one side of his chest that shows his jacket, shirt, and tie that he's wearing that day, and nothing else. And for me, I have, 25, 30 suits. You guys have seen most of them. So there's so many different combinations, and I will reference his page in the morning when I'm getting dressed. So EJ gives this kind of very actionable advice for me that I literally bring up his feed when I'm getting dressed in the morning often. So he's great. I think he's an authority And so what he says, I don't have to question it so much. So he's awesome. The last one, someone who we've been watching a while, we've worked on campaigns with, who think is great, is Margot and me. I believe her husband is her photographer, but he's incredibly talented. I believe his name is Freddie. But her photos have just been phenomenally beautiful recently. She's been on a big traveling kick, I think, since Paris Fashion Week. She's been in Italy. She's in England now. But you know, a lot of influencers travel all the time. For some reason, with her, the stuff has looked a little bit more elevated, a little bit different. She also has a little different style than most influencers. It's a little brighter. It's a little more like a throwback, like I don't know. It's not quite the like minimalist, baggy clothing that a lot of female influencers are wearing right now, which is also lovely, and a lot of them do it really well. But her stuff just stands out a little bit. It's a little more structured, a little more tailored, a little more 60s. There was a photo I loved recently of her in Paris, and she had like the whole hat and scarf around her neck. And you know, I think some people might say it's a little kitsch, but I think it really works. And having met her, it feels authentic when you meet her. That is her. She's kind of more of a like bubbly, outgoing person. So I think her stuff's been incredible. And oh, sorry, someone's texting me. I think she's done a really great job recently. And she should definitely be someone that, as a style influencer, you should follow, because I think she does travel really well. She does lifestyle really well. I think she does sponsored posts really well. You know, we work with her a lot on campaigns, and I think the time and effort she puts into sponsored posts shines through, and I think she does a beautiful job all around. I think Instagram captions are massively important. We are actually currently trying to pull some data on this. Maybe we can get it before the video comes out in a couple of weeks, but around, do photos with longer captions perform better? I think if you can write well, you should be doing more of that on your Instagram captions. I think it's a shame that influencers don't write more, you know, and just saying like, oh, you know, getting my morning coffee in Paris, like so excited to be here. You can certainly do that, but I think, you know, the caption is your place to expand the story. And again, if you can write well, I think you should do it. And I personally, I'm a decent writer, or at least I used to be. And those captions that I spend more time on, and I write a little story, or I really think about it for a while, massively outperform the posts where I think for 10 seconds about the caption and I just throw it up there. So I think they're important. Yeah, y'all, 27 episodes we've been doing this, and I and Tim have both been blown away with the response. And we've done some, you know, asking ourselves, like, why is this working? Obviously, you know, we started it because it felt like there was a void. It felt like it was really hard to get honest, authentic answers about being an influencer and the business of influence and how you grow that and how you get better and how you get smarter and all of those things. There was advice, but it was put in a way that it wasn't conversational. You know, it was like 7 ways to grow your Instagram following, and 6 of them you knew, and you were like, that doesn't really work. Like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. And I'm not saying that I am some great expert. Like, yes, I've gone through this as an influencer, and you know, 4Card is one of the leading companies doing influencer marketing in the space, so I think we can speak with some authority. But I think why it's worked from a content perspective is more of just the no bullshit approach we take. You know, that there are things we try and say that maybe people wouldn't say. Structurally, why it's worked is consistency. You know, if it was just me, I maybe would be on episode 5 or 6. But having Tim always be like, we need to film this day at this time because we need to publish this on Monday every day. You know, 27 weeks we've basically published this. I think we missed 1 week. We've published this 27 weeks on a Monday. You guys know when to expect it. You know what the structure is going to be. You know I'm going to be sitting here in a suit usually, drinking and answering your questions. It's the same thing over and over and over again. So that's worked really well, that consistency, but also understanding that like we need to expand beyond just me sitting here answering questions and drinking. So bringing in other people has been really helpful. You know, trying to get other perspectives. I think about that for your own feed. Certainly, people are, I think, watching Drink with James to hear what I have to say about this stuff, but it's nice to hear what Rachel has to say, and it's nice to hear what Lainey has to say, and it's nice to hear what JC has to say. It's nice to hear what other people have to say about this as well. There was an indication almost instantly that Drink with James was connecting with people and that they liked it. My friends who aren't influencers were like, hey, I watched it, that was really helpful. Like, obviously we said some views and things like that, and it was growing, but I think you know pretty quickly if something's working, and I think for y'all, look, if it doesn't feel like it's working and you just do the same thing, then like, I don't really know what to say to you. Unless you're just like, I'm enjoying this and I don't care. But if you care and you care about growing it, you need to be able to try things and you need to be able to move on from them when they aren't working. And I have tried a lot of things at Four Card on the marketing side, and most of them haven't worked. And I didn't think this would work that well. You know, if you look at the 10 ideas I've had in the last year that we've implemented, I don't think I would have put this as like number one, this is the thing that's going to work really well. And it's been a surprise to me. So I think it's, if you can get any wisdom from that, it's that you just don't know what people are going to connect with, and you have to try things, and you're going to get feedback pretty early on if it's working or not. And don't be afraid to let things die that aren't working, and don't be afraid to try new things that you're not sure if they will work, because you don't know, and you could be 27 episodes into a show where you get drunk and answering questions. So yeah, you gotta be okay with trying things and stepping into the unknown. So that's it. Episode 27 is done. Tim's out of town next week, which means I don't have to drink in the middle of the day, which is a good or bad thing, I'm not totally sure. But we hopefully in the next one after this are going to have quite a special guest that we're very excited about. As always, I will tell you to send in questions. You know, some weeks we don't get as many questions as we want. Tim and I have to come up with things. We do, but it really does help if you all send in questions, so that would be much appreciated. Cheers. I'm not going to stand up this week. I'll stand up.